We are officially now recording. I welcome you to tonight's graduate student webinar with the College of Education. My name is Brooke Bollinger. I am Director of Graduate Studies. My role for the College of Ed is meant to be, first of all, a student resource for all of you from the time of application until the time of graduation. That means that for some of you, I am the liaison with the graduate school, for example, when you are verifying graduation and other paperwork processes that arise throughout your studies. I am a point of contact many times for some of those. And I also have been working with our dean to develop some student resources and strategies for student success. And for the fall semester of 2022, we decided to create a webinar series through which we would present on topics related to student success, both academically and then life balance and overall student support. Previously in this fall semester, we have already had a presentation on thesis and dissertation timelines with our special guests from the graduate school. We also had a presentation on tools for online research back in September with Laura Gleason from our Pocatello Library. And this presentation tonight, which you are all here to be part of, is focused on a very exciting and brand new tool available to you as graduate students of the College of Education. We have begun a partnership with the University of Northern Colorado, specifically to provide our College of Ed students with access to the research consulting lab at the University of Northern Colorado, through which our own ISU students can tap into the consulting and appointment resources at the research lab there to support any research that an ISU student would be conducting, whether thesis or dissertation or simply other research initiatives. And we know we have students conducting various types of research even prior to writing their thesis or dissertation. And so it is now my special honor to introduce, and we have several guests with us from University of Northern Colorado. But first, I would just like to first introduce Annabelle Lee, who will be our presenter tonight. And perhaps she can introduce herself and then also any of her colleagues who might be with us tonight. Annabelle, I am officially turning it over to you.
Thank you so much, Brooke. Hi, everyone. My name's Annabelle. So actually my boss is here with me tonight. So I'm not sure if I should introduce him first because he's my boss, but maybe I can start. So we're from the University of Northern Colorado, and we're representing the Research Consulting Lab at the Department of Applied Statistics and Research Methods. So we're very excited to extend our services to everyone at ISU. So for myself, I am from Hong Kong, and this is my third year as a PhD student in applied stats and research methods, and also my third year as a research consultant with the RCL. So that's RCL is short for Research Consulting Lab. And my second year as a senior consultant. So I've worked with a lot of clients at UNC, like they're including graduate students, undergrad students, other staff, even faculty members. So it's a very enriching experience for me. So I'm really looking forward to working with clients from ISU as well. And I'm probably going to hand over to my boss now, Dr. Larkins.
For some reason, I've never thought of myself as your boss, and we've never actually called each other those things. But my name is Randy Larkins, and I'm the department chair for Applied Statistics and Research Methods. Annabelle is one of our favorite and knowledgeable people, so I really appreciate her being around. I started at the University of Northern Colorado about 15 years ago as a PhD research consultant, and we've developed along the way to where we are now. So we're just really excited to be involved with you all, and we really hope you take advantage. I'm not going to talk after this, but let me just sort of give you my philosophy of research, and that is that people are curious about something. So Brooke said that it could be research of any kind that you're involved with. I really encourage graduate students especially to try to conduct research and to publish research just for the fun of it, more than anything else. And then you can apply that towards your master's or doctorate. But it's just nice to be able to be curious about something and actually track it down and investigate it the way you should. And we're here to help you from the very beginning of the research question to the very final end report. So with that, I'll turn it over to Annabelle, and thank you for letting us be here.
Sounds good. Okay, let me share. We have a presentation today. There we go.
Oh, and Annabelle, we do have one other person with us, Carlene Brown. So I just
We do.
always say hi to Carlene.
Hi, Colleen.
Hello, thank you.
Colleen is one of our doctorate students in our program too. And she has worked in the research consulting lab for a while this semester. Okay, let me move things around, which I don't know why things are always in the way when you're presenting. And there we go. Cool. So we're here today to share our research consulting lab with our ISU potential clients. So this is a picture that I really like. This is McKee Hall at UNC. It's where the top floor is where the RCL, the research consulting lab is. And I like this picture because I've been there for a few years. And this building is pretty cool. It has the breezeway. So anyways, okay. So the agenda for today, we're gonna briefly introduce ourselves. So what is the Research Consulting Lab or the RCL? So who are we and what do we do? And then most importantly, we wanted to introduce RCL to our potential ISU clients. So if anyone from ISU wants to make an appointment with us, how do they do that? What are the procedures? What things has to be noted, and what to bring to our consultation sections. And if you have any questions at any time when I'm talking, please feel free to interrupt and ask your questions, or you can leave them at the end of the presentation. It's up to you. So the RCL, who are we and what do we do? So the RCL, we're graduate students. So we have a doctoral and master's student. We're all from the Department of Applied Statistics and Research Methods here at UNC. And again, our boss or director is Dr. Larkins. And this is our new logo. We are very proud of this. So we're extending, Dr. Larkins is putting together all of the services that we provide as graduate students to the UNC community. So this is our website. Here, feel free to visit us. And what do we do? So basically, we assist graduate students, undergrad students, staff, and faculty in basically all aspects of the research process from the very beginning. Even when our client has a research idea, like maybe it's just a very brief idea, we can work with our client all the way from formatting that idea into like research questions and to design our analysis, and then all the way to how to, when you have the research question, how do you design, if you're going to use a survey, how do you design it, how do you collect data, how do you manage the data you've collected, all the way to analyzing the data using the software, and also reporting your results. And we actually also have resources to work with clients with visual impairment and or deaf or hard of hearing. So for myself, I have been working with a graduate student who is totally blind for maybe a year, around a year, more than a year. And I do have a little bit of experience working on R and Vivo with the client. And so if anyone would need support in that aspect, I can provide some help with that. And we also have a graduate student with us who knows how to sign, and he is teaching in a school where the students are deaf or hard of hearing. So we also have that resources to work with individuals who identify as deaf or hard of hearing. And so for research and survey design, we do offer support for both quantitative and qualitative design. And we also have consultants who have knowledge on mixed methods studies. And for quantitative, qualitative, they're basically, we wanted our clients to be able to ask good research questions and also create designs that could adequately answer the questions they've asked, and also identify the procedures that are necessary to collect data that are, in a quantitative sense, is accurate and usable, but qualitative, we usually use trustworthiness or rigor. Basically, the data has to be of good quality to answer the questions that the client has drawn up. So data collection and management, basically we're gonna have, we can walk the clients through different research design. If they need to design any surveys in Qualtrics, we can also offer assistance with that. And also a lot of clients come to us, they have this question of how many people do I need for my study? So this is one of the questions that are asked a lot. So we do have consultants who are knowledgeable to answer those questions. And if our clients engage in a qualitative study, usually interviews are one of the ways to collect data for the qualitative study. So how do the client align with the questions in a structured or semi-structured format to fit the research questions? We can also answer that. And then we can also help our clients with managing and organizing data into usable form. And after data collection, what do we do with that? So it's great to have a lot of data, but we have to analyze them adequately. So we do have consultants experience in different statistical methods, quantitative or qualitative methods, and we have different software that our consultants are good at, SPSS, SAS, R, M+, and NVivo. So when I talked to Brooke yesterday, we were saying that, so for our consultants at UNC, we do have access to all these software for free. So it would depend also on whether our clients at ISU have access to this.
Yes, and frequently what we encourage is a student account that the student secures with, for example, SPSS. And so as other resources become available to our ISU students, we would certainly email and provide that link to everyone. But for the moment, I know many of our statistics courses utilize SPSS, through which a student account can be purchased for very minimal cost, or even a free account that allows the student to get through their statistics coursework, or at the time of a quantitative dissertation or thesis, to have SPSS access during that time.
Okay, that's.
I should also say there are some programs like G-Power that help with sample size that are free. So we can also help you find some free options if you need them.
Yes, sounds good. And I know Dr. Likens introduced this before, but that's something called PSPP, which is kind of like the opposite of SPSS when you, yeah, like SPSS, PSPP, but it's kind of like it's a free version and a little bit reduced version of SPSS. I've never used it personally, but yeah, that could be a solution too. Cool. And SAS is, you need, I think you can use SAS for free if you use it on an online version. R is free, M+ is not, and Vivo is not, but we can find ways to have access to those. Okay, so basically, as consultants at in the RCL, there are some services that we're allowed to provide, and some of them were not, like some of them are forbidden services. So the services that the RCL consultants are allowed to provide, giving recommendations on different aspects like the structure of research questions, how to record data, data management, what software to use, how to design and collect data, the different data analysis techniques, and how to document results. So basically you can see a common thing in all those statements, a recommendation. So we're allowed to assist our clients. We're allowed to give recommendations and support in the research process. And the services that we're not allowed to provide is that we cannot, what we do, we can accept payment for this. This is for our UNC clients, because the RCL is based at UNC. So this is a free service for our UNC clients, but this for ISU clients, we do accept payment. And then we're not allowed to collect data for the clients. We're not allowed to perform data analysis for the client or write up anything or edit manuscripts. We are not responsible for installing, editing, or debugging software used by the researcher. So basically, in a nutshell, we're allowed to assist the clients in the process, but we're not allowed to do the work for the client.
And let me just clarify something. By consultants cannot accept payment, what we mean is we don't take tips. So don't worry about that. We have an agreement with ISU to accept payment from the college itself. So individuals do not have to pay us and should not try.
Thank you, Dr. Larkins. So now we're going to talk about how if an ISU client is interested in consulting with us, what steps do they need to take? So to make an appointment with us, please fill in a Qualtrics survey. So you can either click on this link or scan the QR code. So the purpose of this Qualtrics survey is to collect some preliminary information from a potential client from ISU. And so we have some background knowledge, so we know how to best assist them. So if you click into that link or scan the QR code, you will be brought to this page. So the first question asks you whether this is your first time visiting us. And if you click yes or no, either way, it will lead you to these questions. So the first question asks you to enter your email address, and we ask you to use the same email address every single time because we would use this email address as an identifier. So we know that this is the same person we're working with. So, and then you would provide your first name and your last name. And then this one here, these two questions would be asked only if you indicate that this is the first time you're using our service. So your department or program and which academic status you are, undergrad students, grad students, postdoc, staff, or faculty. And then the next question asks you which type of service you would like to request. So we ask you to choose the one here, ISU students, faculty, and staff. And then you would be brought to this question, what type of research would you like assistance with? Whether it is if you're a student, whether this is your own research project, or this is a project you have to complete for a class, or this is a dissertation or scholarly project or capstone that you're working on. And faculty would indicate as a research project or other project that you have to specify what they are. And what type of research you're conducting, basically quantitative, qualitative or mixed methods. And we put other here because Dr. Howard Fan, he's from school psychology, and he indicated that there's something called a single subject design, which is very specific to school psychology and also folks from special education. So currently in our lab, so in LCL, we do not have consultants who are trained adequately extensively in single subject design. So if there is any request regarding that, we can also maybe bring our own professors from special education or school psychology in for consultation if necessary. And then we ask you to give us a topic of your study. So if you don't have a very formal one, that's okay. We just wanted to know what your study is about, basically. You can put a tentative one here. And then this part is very, very important too. So we ask you to choose all that apply. This question asks you what type of assistance you would need for your research. So we're basically just listing out all of the steps from the beginning of a research process, from if you have some ideas about your research and you want to formulate a research question, so that would be this part. And then we can also work on setting up any survey or questionnaire if you want to use them. So data collection methods, how to sample participants, how many people you need for this sample. So again, this question is asked a lot. And data management. So after you collect the data, how do you clean your data? How do you handle missing data, etc.? And then data analysis is after your data is ready for an analysis. So data analysis method, data analysis software. And so if you need particular help in software, so what software you're asking help for. And also reporting of results or any other things that you would need assistance for. So how do you prefer to meet? So basically a face-to-face option is only for UNC clients at the Research Consulting Lab. But we think the best way to meet would be probably through Zoom, because like now we can share our screens and we can show, for example, if you collected a magnificent data set, so you wanted to show us, so it's better to do this through Zoom, so we can share our screens and look at each other's document or any data. So there's another, there are other options. So maybe a phone call, if there's something like very brief that we need to talk about, that could work too. But we also think that maybe Zoom is the best option. And then you'll be asked to indicate your availability to meet. So please check all that apply. So well, our lab is actually open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5. And we do accept requests that to meet on Saturday and Sunday. So the thing is, we put this as upon request. So we ask that if you are interested to make an appointment with us, please consider the weekdays first. And because we understand that some clients may not be able to do the weekday because probably they work full-time over the weekday. So weekend is also an option. But we also want to ensure that our consultants also have life, and they are also grad students. So they probably are very busy also. But if Saturday and Sunday are the only options, so that's okay too. And then if you indicate the dates of the week, please also put the dates and time here in the boxes, the little boxes, so we know what is the best time that work for you. And the last questions are optional. So if you have any accommodations that you need, please tell us. And if you have any concerns, please also tell us those. And then this is the page, the last page you'll see. So after Brooke, do you want to say anything? Okay, cool. So after you've filled in that Qualtrics survey, we'll reach out to you within 48 hours, because after that, Dr. Larkins and I would receive an email notification that we have a request, and then we'll get back to you within 48 hours. And then if you're working on different projects and you would like to work with us on each of them, please make separate entries. So one Qualtrics entry for one project. And then for graduate students, we understand that research advisors and the dissertation chairs are very important. So they're welcome to sit in for the first consultation section. However, to encourage independence of work. So we wanted our clients to be able to be independent to work on their projects. So for the subsequent consultation sections, the students are welcome to request for the sections to be recorded, so then they can share the information or any or discussion with their advisors and chairs. And then typically from experience, a consultation section is around an hour. Sometimes it may be half an hour, sometimes a little bit longer, 1.5 hours. So if the consultation is getting a little bit longer than expected, we encourage our clients to make a follow-up consultation request for us because, well, you know, working on something so intensively for a long time is actually really exhausting, not only for the consultant, but also for the client. So you're welcome to make an appointment with us, that a future consultation section with us if necessary. And so after each consultation section, we'll email the client a summary of our discussion and provide any resources, if any, and then also if there's a plan for a follow-up section. And then something a little bit serious about no-show and late policy. So in order to facilitate the best usage of our service, if our clients need to cancel or reschedule appointment, they can do so, because we understand things would, you know, come up, and then they can get busy sometimes, or some emergency, something like that. So if that needs to happen, please contact us at least 3 hours prior to the scheduled consultation. Otherwise, we'll need to charge that as a no-show, and it will be a 1 hour consultation. And we also would put this on our record, and that might affect our client's future consultation with us. And late policy is that if the client did not show up for the appointment 15 minutes after the scheduled time, and there's no notification or whatsoever, we would treat this as a no-show. So lastly, what to bring to our consultation section. So basically anything you have, even if it is just a brief research idea, we can talk about that and also, you know, bounce things off each other. So that could be a good discussion section. If you have research questions, topics, any variables that you have, so any things that you're interested in studying, or any materials you already have about your study. If you already have a questionnaire or an existing questionnaire that you would like to use for your own study, you can also bring that to us. Any interview questions, if you're using interview as the data collection method, any data set, sometimes clients are using a secondary data set, so which means that they're not collecting data themselves, but they are using as an existing data set to do the analysis. So please also bring that to us. And also, if you have already done any data analysis, we would like to see your results, and then any drafts that you've written up already. So as Dr. Larkin said, we're very glad to work with you from the beginning to end of your research project. But we recommend that you come to see us as soon as possible, at the beginning of the research project. So there are a lot of the clients who come to us at the Research Consulting Lab, the problem that they have is that, oh, I have already collected data and I have this data set, but the variables are collected in a way that makes it very difficult to analyze, or like we have to use a very complex data analysis method to work on that. So, and then usually they would say, oh, I wish I knew that you have this service, so I can come to you earlier, so we can talk through even, designing our Qualtrics survey questions, so then we will not end up in a situation like this where we're using, like ordinal regressions to do something that could be a very simple, a linear regression, something like that. So we ask you to come to us as soon as possible, so then we can work everything out together. And so that's it. And we would like to take any questions you might have. And but before that, Brooke has asked me to tell you that we are very excited to meet with everyone, but we're still in the process of getting the paperwork ready so that we can give the green light.
We have the green light. So yes, appointments, I was about to say, yes, appointments can now be made using the link that you provide to us for, if we will send that out via email. But Annabelle, if you don't mind throwing into our chat the Microsoft Word document that you created as well.
Yes, I'm gonna do it right now. So I'm looking, I need some time to look for it.
Yes.
I just save it on my desktop.
Perfect. So that's a great segue. So while you're uploading it, I will just say again to our ISU students that this is meant to be a resource for you going into the foreseeable future. So someone asked the question in the chat, how long do we anticipate the partnership continuing? This is at minimum a foreseeable future, several year situation. And this is something that we believe will help our students through their especially dissertation doctoral students who are ABD in dissertation mode, who are within a 5-year clock, who, as someone's already said in the chat box, this can be a resource early on as they are formulating a research question, deciding their methodology. I'm so grateful to our department chair of school psychology, Dr. Howard Fan, and others who work with us at College of Ed who secured this arrangement, because this is meant to be a supplement to what we can provide to you. Obviously, each student has a faculty advisor with great knowledge and research skills, and that faculty advisor will be the regular point of contact for each doctoral student or master's student. But for a student like all of you to be able to make these appointments and to be able to brainstorm early on, like I mentioned earlier, the research question, and as Annabelle said, starting early with your methodology, and we know this will be useful and important. So yes, let's have you all can feel free to start making appointments immediately, and we encourage it. Someone's written in the chat that they will be in their prospectus mode for dissertation in the spring. So perhaps that is a good time to set up a winter appointment, and perhaps in January. But no matter where you are in your writing and research, we hope this will be a support. And Annabelle, so one thing I just wanted to clarify. So in that intake form, where the Qualtrics intake form, where students are putting in personal information about their methodology, is it quantitative or qualitative or mixed methods? I'm making the assumption then, and if you could elaborate, or if Randy can elaborate on this, the placement, so a quantitative consult different than qualitative. So I'm assuming that within your team there are in-house experts for each methodology that our students would then be placed with.
Yes, most of our consultants are trained in quantitative methods with numbers, math, that kind of thing. We do have consultants who are trained in the qualitative methods too. So if you indicate that, then I would, connect our clients with consultants who are more proficient in each of the training. But we do encourage our consultants to be trained in both quantitative and qualitative, because before we do have a lot of clients, most of our clients coming in asking for assistance with quantitative studies, but more and more clients come in with qualitative questions. And so we do want to entertain that too.
And we provide training every other Friday to our consultants so that they can be both trained in qualitative and quantitative. So it's my goal to see one day that every single consultant we have is trained in both, but they should be able to help you with some things. I was going to say too, the research question is probably the most important part of research. And a lot of times I've seen people go all the way through designing and everything else and coming to us at that point, and we look at the research question and it's broken and we need to help you fix it. And so it's much better to come to us and ask us what, or talk about the research question. And even if you want to help, ask us to analyze some data, you know, how do we do that with you? We may look at your research question and say, we need to go back and look at that first. So like Annabelle said about collecting data and then finding out the data is flawed, it would be much better to come to us at the beginning and help us design it so that it's going to work for you, rather than find out it's broken much later and have to start over again with some things. And I'm glad you're pursuing qual studies, because I actually teach a lot of the qual classes here. And we do have some people who are very good at qualitative research who could help you with that.
I'm just going to throw out a question to our students here. When you think about your dissertation, and because we have all doctoral students here tonight, so when you think about your dissertation, what gives you the most anxiety? And perhaps we can take a brief moment for our consultants here tonight to quickly answer how their lab can support those processes. So for example, coding within a qualitative study, for example. Annabelle, can you maybe talk about how a consultant might support that methodology and how our students can find support with that even?
Oh, for coding for qualitative, like for interviews, for.
I think for quantitative,
For quantitative,
we could talk about coding. I mean, like for instance, dummy coding and things like that. There are certain processes like linear regression that require you to code certain aspects a certain way, and so we can help you with that.
One person has written that the formulation of their research question is a moment of anxiety, and I do hear that in my role as a common statement. I think it is in part because we all have, for our research projects, we have a topic of interest, and then narrowing down that question can be hard, because I think sometimes doctoral students have 5 or 6 different actual questions related to that topic. And so pinpointing one to just get the dissertation done can be the hard part. And in reality, I heard a professor say once that picking that research question, getting the dissertation done, accomplishes the dissertation goal, at which point future research perhaps can be conducted with the other areas of questions that could have been also utilized. So how would you all speak to that?
Yes, and I've seen it 2 different ways. One is that they only have one research question, but they have about 5 or 6 ands in it. So one time I worked with our consultants and we had one research question, but we actually broke it into 6 different research questions because of all the ands and ors. So you need to be really careful about that. The other one is that if you have more than, I'm going to say 3 or 4 research questions, you've probably got too big of a topic. And so we need to talk about what your topic really is and help you narrow it down so that you really only have the topics that you need. I don't think personally, even for a dissertation, that you really need more than 3 or 4 questions at the most. And
Yeah.
Annabelle, if you have anything to add, sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I mean, I remember a professor who, Dr. Yu, he taught, I took several quant classes from him. So I remember something he said was that in one study, you're basically telling a story. So from the literature you have reviewed, so you formulate your research. So you want to study something based on the literature. That is, you can contribute something new to your field. And so you have to make sure that the story you're telling very smooth. And so you're focusing on a certain aspect. So sometimes students do come to us and they have so many things they're interested to know, to study about, which is great because they're very passionate about the topic that they have. And then, but we wanted, so Dr. Yu was like, oh, so that is good, but you want to make sure that maybe at most 3 research questions. So then you can make your story focused on a certain aspect. And then like Dr. Larkin said, you can use the rest of your ideas on a follow-up study or a future study, something like that.
Thanks to both of you for that insight. Someone has written into the chat box. And so, for example, this could be an appointment made with your team, but aligning interview questions with research questions and making sure that the right data is collected at the right time is a common question also, particularly perhaps on the qualitative side. And so it's exciting to think that these consulting appointments would help to streamline that.
And there's even a more basic issue about that. I actually have given presentations in my classes about how you take the research question and break it into key topics that you not only conduct your literature review, but you also construct your interview questions. And so we could show you how to do that. But sometimes people actually ask interview questions and think that they're research questions. And so what we need to do sometimes with some people is to help them understand what a research question is and what an interview question is so that they get it right.
Absolutely. Okay, so we have a chat from one of our instructional design and technology doctoral students asking, does anyone on the team have experience with alternative dissertations and the fact that the IDT folks at ISU do a qualitative project-based dissertations to solve real-world instructional problems? What are your thoughts there?
I'm not so sure what an alternative dissertation is.
Candace, do you mind speaking up to elaborate on that?
Not a problem. So it follows the same 5 chapters, but we are actually like creating something. So for example, I will be creating an onboarding plan for adjuncts at my institution. And so the qualitative research part of that is really going back to the stakeholders and asking them a lot of opinions about the product that we have created. So it typically ends up being just a little bit different dissertation than maybe some of the quote unquote typical ones.
So a unique research question and topic then.
Correct.
Well, this isn't quite the same, and I think we're going to be interested. This is one of the exciting parts of a partnership is we don't really do things exactly like that, but I don't see why it's really that different than what we are doing. So I'm sure we could help you with it. But we also have a long history of evaluations and conducting evaluations at UNC. And in that, we design ways to collect data from the clients, and then we go and interview or conduct quantitative research. It's usually mixed methods on how satisfied the clients are with the nonprofit program that we're evaluating. So Candace, I think that that would be kind of similar to what you're talking about. The important thing is, how are you going to collect the data to know that what you've got is working for whoever you're working for?
I agree. It does sound that it's along similar lines. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Any other questions from our students for our guests tonight, our presenters? Okay, I did the teacher pause. With no further questions, I just want to thank our guests tonight from the University of Northern Colorado. Thank you, Annabelle. Thank you, Dr. Larkins. Thank you, Carlene, for being with us and sharing this overview. And we truly do look forward to our students being able to make these appointments. And I know I will certainly be in touch with all of you in my role as Director of Grad Studies as well.
Great.
And we have some notes in the box of gratitude and truly thank you all. I will now officially turn off the recording.
Brooke,
but
there's
if we-
just one more thing. I'm sorry. I think Candace asked how long this was going to last. I would say, just from my conversations with Howard, we've had these conversations for about, what, 6 months or more, Annabelle? That as long as we get people who actually need our services, we'll probably continue the relationship. If you all are really hesitant to use us, then we may have to just revisit and say, is it really worth it? So I would really encourage you to go ahead and make the appointments and just try us out and see how you like us.
Absolutely. That is such an important point. We want to utilize this resource.
Yes.
Fully. Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you again, all. I am now going to turn off the recording, but I'm going to keep the Zoom up in case anyone would like to ask a question of our panelists, even off camera. Thank you all.